A little bit of security goes a long way. When we move into the cloud, our identities become the new edge of our networks, and we need to protect our identities and all of that go along with them. So we're going to start a micro series around Azure Identity Governance, and we're kicking it off today with Entitlement Management. I'm Dean Cifola, and this is the Azure Academy. Microsoft, across all of its products and services, has a philosophy called least privilege. And that's where we say that you don't need more permissions than you need to do what you have to do. And in the cloud, this is where Azure Active Directory Identity Governance comes in. Identity governance allows you to balance your organization's need for security and productivity. It's where we can ensure that the right people have the right access to the right resources at the right times. And when they don't need them, we take that access away, which increases our security by reducing our risk footprint. But that's only half the story, because the other side of this comes in where we need to review all of these accesses and processes to make sure that they're all still valid right now. And this starts off with creating access packages. So to understand access packages, let me set the stage for you. Think about when you got your new job. You just got hired, you're super excited, you get there for your very first day, and you get brought down to the security office, they take your picture, they give you a badge, and then they give you a computer. I know it may feel like you get this old piece of junk, but usually it looks kind of more like this. Then you usually sit down with somebody who's your onboarding buddy, and they're going to help you to learn the ropes, and your manager would submit a workflow that would then give you all of the access to the applications and groups that you need to be a member of to do your job. And this is where access packages come in. So think about contractors coming in to do work in your organization, or people are going to join a group for a project, and then after that project is over, they don't need that access anymore. And of course, you can make this more of a long-term function, and we'll get into the pros and cons of that in our next video on access review. So be sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss that. So let's go over to the Azure portal, and at the top search bar, we're going to look for Identity Governance, and we'll click on that. And you can see Identity Governance has 3 different sections. Today is Entitlement Management. Next, we'll be doing Access Review and Privileged Identity Management, which is where we control all of the keys to the kingdom. And just one thing before we get started, Identity Governance is one of those things that requires a Azure AD P2 license. And if you're unfamiliar with how to get that, we have covered that in a previous video, which I'll have linked up here on the top right. So let's click to create an access package, and we have to give it a name, and we'll just call this our onboarding package, and it's a general package for all users to give them all the basic things that they need. And this third item here is around the catalog, and we're going to skip that for now. We'll come back to that in a minute. And right now, let's click next to add our resource roles. Now there are 3 kinds of resources that we can add to an access package: SharePoint sites, applications, and groups and teams. So now I have all my basic stuff here, and I have to now select roles for each of these items. And the type of role permission that you get here is going to be determined on if it's a SharePoint site, application, or group. And with all my appropriate access selected, I'll hit next. And this is where we can determine if our access package is for those inside or outside our directory. Think about like B2C type models, or where you have guests coming into your environment, maybe short-term contractors, that kind of thing. Or you can just skip all of that and do direct assignment. So for this one, I'll just pick users inside my directory. Then we get further options where we can specify users or groups. So I'll select all members excluding my guests, and now we have the choice of whether or not we want to require approval. So I'll select yes for this, and here we can force the requester to give us a justification, which I'm not going to do in this case because this is just a new user onboarding. And we can select multiple stages of approvers if we want, but again, I'll just stick with one. And then we have the approver themselves. We can have that be a manager, which is what I'll do, and this could be maybe someone who's in charge of your project. And I'll click to add an approver, and we'll add the user Superman for this, and then we have the number of days Superman will have to decide whether or not to grant access. Default here is 14, but because this is for a new user onboarding, we'll say 5 days. And then, does Superman have to give us a justification for granting this access? In this case, I will select no. Then there are some advanced options that you could do. And that would be things like, if no action was taken in 5 days by Superman, should we forward this to somebody else? And in this case, I'll say yes, and that'll be Adam Warlock, and we'll hit select for that. And then we'll forward that over to him in 4 days. But I'm ready to go, so I'll say yes and hit next for my lifecycle. Now this has to do with the lifecycle of the access package, and you can have it expire on a specific date on the calendar or after a certain number of days, or make it indefinite, which is what I'll do because this is for my new users to be onboarded, and I will be requiring access review on this, and we'll leave these settings as is so we don't spoil our next video, and we'll click next, and we can review everything that we have set up here, and when we're ready, we hit create. And our package is complete, and I've also got another one here for a marketing campaign. Let's take a look inside our onboarding package. And on the left here, we have the resources. And of course, you can edit anything here that you need to. And under policies, we've got the initial policy that we created here. And this shows who can modify this package, the approver, when it expires, all of that information. Then the other things on the left are our assignments, requests, and access review, which we'll come back to in our next video. Now let's go back to the overview. Once you get all of this stuff set up, the only thing you need to do for that brand new user on their first day, they log onto that wonderful new computer and they use this link to access the package. So I'll open this in a private browsing window so you can see the experience. And here is our onboarding package. So we'll check the box here and request access. There's a field here for justification. And now we'll hit submit, and we see that our package is being processed, and we can view the details, and we can see that this was submitted by Nova and it is pending approval. So let's flip over to Superman, since Superman here is the approver, and we've got a pending approval here for Nova. So we'll click on the box and click approve. And we can see our due date here, any of the requester details from Nova, as well as the items that he's going to gain access to once I make this approval. And your justification here will be required depending on how you set up the package. But I'll just put in some details here and click approve. So we see Nova is successfully approved. So if we go back to his experience, we can see that Superman has approved, and now we are delivering the package. So you see how easy that was for Nova. It was his very first day. He didn't know his way around. He didn't know who to ask for, all of the things that he needed. He didn't even really know what he needed. All he had to do was go through that one link and click submit for his access request. It went through the approval process. Superman approved it as the HR manager. Our packages have been delivered and notifications sent to our user. And there you go. Now we've got access to our internal stuff so we can start our job. So I've got another access package here for the marketing campaign, and I'm going to click on that and then click the plus again to request access. I'll put in my justification, and this one will have a specific date, and we'll be done with this campaign by the end of September. So I'll click submit for that, and the request is now being processed. And we see that our approval is pending, and Superman is going to take care of that. So let's go back to the Azure portal and see what's inside this campaign. So before we take a look at the access package, we want to go back to that idea of catalogs on the left here. And I do have a catalog for marketing. You can see that there is one access package and 7 resources associated with this catalog. So a catalog is a way to group things together ahead of time. So you could make something for all marketing campaigns could be inside a catalog with multiple access packages. And we're going to go and create one of these in just a moment, but I want you to see what it all looks like first. So under the resources, we have every single resource related to marketing. And then we have our single access package. And inside this package, we've also got those similar kinds of resources. Now, why would we have the same thing in both places? To explain that, let's start from the beginning of a catalog. So we'll go to create a new catalog, and we'll call this Windows Virtual Desktop Resources. And since today WVD does not allow external or guest users, I'll turn that feature off and we'll hit create. And now we've got our catalog. So let's see what we can put in here. We'll go under our resources and click to add resources. And I'm going to add multiple Azure AD groups. And I've got several of them here that all start with WVD. So I'll click select for that. And these are all security groups, which we'll add. And then under the access packages, we'll go to create a new package. And we'll give it a name and description of WVD Personal Desktop. Then we'll go to add our groups. And over here on the top right, there's a checkbox to see only groups and teams that are in our catalog. So I'll check that box, and that reduces the entire list of everything in my domain down to just the groups entitled around this particular catalog. So I'll click to add my particular group for personal desktops and hit select. That's the only thing I'm going to add here, and we'll click next. Now, first of all, see that the for users not in your directory is grayed out, and this is because we checked that no flag earlier that this is not a catalog for external users. This is one for users in our directory, and we want this for specific users and groups, not just anybody in our environment. So we'll scroll down a little bit and we'll add a specific group, and I'll add my WVD users group for this. These are all the people in my organization who are entitled for WVD access. This group I'm not going to require approval, and we will set this to enabled and go next for our lifecycle. This package will have an expiration date of never, but it will need access review on a monthly basis, and this will be reviewed by a specific reviewer, which will be the WVD admin. Next, and create. And here's another group I'll create for remote application access for Windows Virtual Desktop. And we'll go basically through the same process that we did before. We'll just add the specific group for WVD remote app marketing. And now we have several packages inside this catalog. Now, before we go through the approval process, I want to show you the Windows Virtual Desktop app groups. And I've got a group here for teams. And if we look at the assignments, so I've got a group called WVD Remote Apps for Marketing. And over in Azure Active Directory, if we look at the groups, there is my marketing group. And at the moment, there are no members in this group. So going back to identity governance, we've got our access package here for marketing and our remote app. So I'll copy that link and we'll go through our approval, and we'll add our business justification, and we'll set our request date, period of time, and we'll hit submit. And by now the workflow completed, so we can go to our Azure Active Directory. Take a look at our WVD remote marketing group under members, and Nova has been added automatically. And inside the WVD client, we can see the apps that we have been enabled for. So there's one more thing that we'll cover today, and that is how we can invite third parties or someone that we're partnering with to do a project. How can we invite them into our environment securely? Let's return to identity governance. Over here on the left in the blade, we have connected organizations. We'll click on that link. Now you see I don't have one at the moment, but we can just add one here at the top. And I've entered the name of the company and a brief description about them, and we'll click next. And then we'll click to add their directory. And this would be the last part of their UPN. We'll click add for that and click select. Now we'll click next, and we do need an internal sponsor who's authorizing this. And we'll make that Superman. And you can also add an external sponsor if you want to, but we'll just click next and then click create. Now that we've got the organization set up, let's create a new package for them. And we'll name this package CAF Accounting, and we'll click next. And I've added the roles, one here for a group called Guest Accounting, and the other is ServiceNow. And we'll click next, and here we want to choose the middle option for users not in our directory. Then when we scroll down, we have the choice of picking a specific organization or enabling this for all. We'll go ahead and add our directory. That's the Ignite Cloud, and we will be requiring approval, and the user will have to provide justification. And here we have the choice of the internal or external sponsors that we had selected earlier, or we could select a particular user. I'll just use the internal sponsor since I've got that, and we'll select yes to enable and click next for our lifecycle. And we'll have this package expire after 30 days, and we will set up our access review, and this will be done by Adam Warlock, and we'll click next and then click create, and that is now created. Now we can either send this link over to our friends at CAF Accounting, or they can open their browsers to myaccess.microsoft.com/the organization name, and now they need to log in using their own credentials. So I'll log in with Jane Doe at Ignite CAF Demo and click next. And now we can see the access package. And if we click the drop down, none of the contents are visible until we are approved. So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll add our justification. And because this is from another organization, we have to check the box here, basically granting consent, and we'll click submit for that. And now we can, like before, see the approval process. Flipping over to Superman, who's the approver for this package, we can click on that and hit approve. and we have to provide a justification as well. And then we'll click approve on that. Back in Jane's portal, we can see that Superman approved and our access was delivered. So if we go now under access packages, we've got our package under active here. And if we click on that, then we can see that we have been made a member of the guest group and the ServiceNow app. So we'll click to open the guest app. Now Jane has to consent to MS Azure Academy being able to see her name and her picture and email address and all of that stuff. So we'll click accept for that. And now we can see any of the groups that we are a member of, which is the guest accounting group. Let's go into the Azure portal. And if we go to the directories button, we can see the MS Azure Academy is here, which we can now join. And we'll go to all resources to see exactly what we have access to. So with just a few clicks, we used Identity Governance, Entitlement Management to be able to collaborate with people outside of our own organization. So now we can each do what it is that we do best and bring those powers collectively together to help each one of us to continue to grow and succeed. So I hope that you've enjoyed this first look at Azure Active Directory Identity Governance. This simple process of setting up entitlement management has helped us to more efficiently onboard new employees into our company, as well as set them up for access to projects and applications like Windows Virtual Desktop, taking all of the guesswork out of how to onboard new users and get them access to all of their tools with the click of a button. And this is just part one of this little micro series, because the next thing we need to do is govern their access going forward, making your environment more secure by protecting the edge of your network through your identities. So if you like this video today or learned something new, why don't you go ahead and click that thumbs up? It just lets me know that you appreciated our video. And while you're down there, go ahead and click that subscribe button and join us here at the Azure Academy, the best free training on Azure you will find anywhere. And if you would like to receive an email when our videos come out, which is roughly once a week, you can go ahead and click that notification bell and use that comment section down below to ask me any questions about today's topic or anything about Azure. We're all just here to help you to learn as much as you want to. And speaking of learning, if you want to keep on learning, go ahead and watch our latest video over here on the top right, as well as the other video at the bottom that we picked out just for you to help you along in your Azure journey. Thanks for joining us today, and we will catch you in part 2 of this micro series. Happy learning.